Welcome to Not So Silent. We'll say what you can't. We think we're right. I wouldn't bet on it. September has been an awesome, amazing month. So far, 5 times growth with subscribers and downloads and listens. So thank you to everyone. I want to make September a 10 times month, which would be amazing. So please do me a favor. If you're on YouTube, right down below here, there's a little red subscribe button. Please click on it. If you're on Apple, subscribe. If you're listening on Spotify, follow us, or whatever else that you do on the different podcast mediums. And do me a big favor, please share this on all your socials, Facebook, Instagram. Share the links to this so other people can listen. All right, on today's show, I have a big announcement. We're going to go through some school updates. Presidential debates are coming up. They're actually going to happen, maybe. We got some sports updates. We'll do a little serious or satire, and then we have top 5 rivalries of all time. Top 5 rivalries of all time. Today's show is brought to you by 6 Kids Construction. If you're in the St. Louis area and you're looking to get a paint job, interior or exterior, please look up 6 Kids Construction. That's the number 6, kidsconstruction.com. All right, so I'm joined with Sean in Kansas City and Chris in St. Louis. All right, so I have a big announcement, and you gentlemen already know this. It is official. Everything is done, signed, sealed, and delivered. I am moving. So the Duncan family is moving. We are going to be leaving the burned down city of Chicago, at least short term. We are getting out of here. So we are moving to Nashville, right outside Nashville. So we're going to be just outside Nashville. So Nashville and Williamson County, get ready for the Duncans. All the Duncan 7 is coming. So, and I don't know if anyone else heard, Ben Shapiro knew what we were doing, and he is also moving out of California to Nashville. But I want to put it on record. We decided first. I just hadn't said it yet on this podcast.
On to topics people care about. Great.
All right. So my great city of Chicago has been destroyed, and the crazy part is most of it's been done because of political decision making, and those same politicians, or at least that same party, has been getting into office for well over 40 years and continues to do it. I don't understand why. So the only thing I can do, because my vote doesn't mean anything here, is to vote with my feet. So I am getting out of here. So Chicago is the definition of insanity, doing the same thing, expecting different results. Not going to happen. All right, so today's topics, let's get into our schools update. So Chris, you said your schools are going back.
Yeah, man, we raised enough hell that the school board is bringing back K through 2, second grade, which is nice because all my kids cap out at second grade. So my kids will be going back on the 31st. That is the word. So, I mean, selfishly, that's great. But I got to be honest, in the bigger picture of things, I think the bigger danger is the middle school, high school kids when it comes to social isolation. Like, I think the younger ones can't learn as effectively, but I don't think it's going to cause as much damage. If I'm being unselfish, they really should be bringing back middle school, high school kids first.
So we got our announcement as well. Right after the podcast on Monday, we got our announcement. My schools are going back as well. I thought that was interesting, right? It's like all the schools, everyone's starting to reopen up as if something spectacular happened in the last month, which it hasn't, except for Labor Day, which was a beautiful holiday here. So our schools are going back. And here's what they did. September 14th, they announced they'll be going back. And they will be going back potentially on October 13th. I thought that was cute. Just keep pushing it off. And when we go back, it's going to be hybrid. And here are the rumors from the neighboring school district from ours, is what it will look like is the kids will be sitting in class 2 days a week. They'll be in class at their desk, not allowed to move around the room with a mask on. And the teacher will sit at her desk speaking into a camera like we're looking right now. So the teacher won't be getting up. And so really, because this is mind-blowing. We're actually at the point where we're debating if it would be better for the kids to just stay at home and learn. Because it's going to be the exact same thing. They can't talk to anyone. They can't move around. They're going to be, can you imagine being 9 years old and sitting in a desk for an hour straight with a mask on, not allowed to move? At least now they're at home. They can, 9-year-olds, they don't sit still.
Yeah, actually, we've been getting a lot of letters from the Muslims and Chinese concentration camps that are writing letters of sympathy for what our kids are about to go through and be put through. I mean, at least at the indoctrination camps they're at, 3 square meals a day, they don't have to pay for them. They feel terrible for us.
That's fantastic.
LeBron needs to comment on that, of course, by the way.
All right. So why do you think they're doing this now? Why now? What has changed in the last month, according to any sort of epidemiology rules?
I think what's changed is the teachers are teaching hybrid learning, remote learning, and they realize that it is awful. They don't get to just chill at home and send out some assignments. They have to do it, and it sucks, and they want to just go back.
I would agree. I think the teacher pressure has become gigantic from the sense of prior to it. I think the teacher pressure was pushing, let's stay remote, let's stay at home and stuff, let's be safe. And every teacher I know, and again, I hate talking bad about teachers because I have a lot of friends who are teachers, and certainly teachers, I have a lot of respect for teachers from when I was a kid that were great and so on. But as we talked about in earlier episodes, I think they were a big part, the teachers' unions at least, were a major reason why we were going remote. And I think finally enough teachers who had said, let's stay home, let's be safe, let's be cautious, are saying, holy cow, this sucks. This is terrible. This is worse than going to school. I want to go back to school. I want to get back to my job. This is crazy. This is terrible. So I agree with you, Sean. I think the teachers' pressure was put on them because parents, by and large, asked to go back to school, and it didn't seem to matter in the beginning. And there has not been any real, at least certainly no one has cited any data that has said, wow, we're way safer now. They're just sending people into schools because the pressure from the teachers, and I think the parents is getting stronger, but I think it's really just the teachers putting downward pressure. So let's move into a college update. Many schools are actually starting to create shelters in place, or at least minimize the amount of movement. The University of Illinois, which had a special testing that they created, that was a saliva-based testing. They were going to test people every 2 days and so on. They actually have now pushed their students to almost shelter in place. You're allowed to leave, or you're asked to leave only for groceries and if you happen to have an in-person class. Would you have listened, Chris, when you were in college?
Good luck with that. We would be on the lawn as a fraternity breaking every single rule and making fun of these rules. Yeah,
Well, now there's universities that are creating police forces just to go after off-campus parties.
Police force, what, like brown-nosing students? Like, you can't do that. It's like,
Well, that happened at KU this weekend. A video went viral when a teacher saw a giant house party and videoed it. Video went viral. They called the police. Police showed up and said, we can't do anything. Call the health department. Health departments, I don't think they're open on Friday at 2 a.m. So
the government, yeah. They're not open past 4 p.m., before 9 a.m.
Yeah, they're a government operation, right? So again, these are college students. And by and large, here's the best part. Hundreds of students on every campus, thousands actually. University of Georgia has had 2,500 students test positive. Georgia Southern had over 1,000 test positive. And thank goodness the university is pushing forward and saying, we're going to keep them safe. We're going to work through. None of the students so far, I don't believe a single one has even been hospitalized.
Yep.
And certainly none with significant problems. I just don't, again, none of this makes any sense. Here's what does make sense to me. Purdue, which was the original school, I don't know if you guys remember, Purdue University back in as early as June said, we will be in person. They were the first school to come out and say, we're going back. We're going back. And they stuck with it. Their president, Mitch Daniels, stuck with it. We're going back. We're going back. We're going back. They have just announced, it just became public information. They have broken their enrollment record this semester. Freshman enrollment record broken.
Love it. The free market at work. It's beautiful.
It is. I don't know why. Again, and I get some people go, oh, you just care about profits and not people's lives. No, you're nuts. Look at the data. College-age kids handled this better than almost any other age group. A healthy college person, this is less than a cold to most of them.
So capitalism isn't about profits. Profits are a byproduct of free will and free choice in a marketplace. It has nothing to do with profits. They just happen to go up because a lot of people weigh out the risk, they weigh out the mitigating circumstances, and they make a personal decision. That's all it is.
Did you learn that in high school government and history class?
I read it on a Facebook Twitter feed from Pierce.
Oh, okay. Because right now, most of the news about capitalism is how awful it is. Read Teen Vogue's article on why socialism is good and capitalism is bad, which is ridiculous.
Still stuck on the pronoun article. I'm still working on memorizing those.
They, right? So again, the colleges, there are so few of them that are allowing people to make their own personal decisions. And it's mind-blowing. I just don't understand why they can't make personal decisions. And I think, again, as I've been saying this entire time, my biggest concern is the mental health of people under the age of 30. You know, I like to assume the older people, you know, already are idiots. But the kids, right, these 5-year-olds, 7-year-olds, 9-year-olds, and then all the way up through college kids, you're seeing spikes in depression and mental health issues that we've been citing on earlier shows. And when you're keeping them out of schools, when you're telling them to isolate, when you're telling them they can't leave their apartments in college, that's not going to help. That's not going to bring down suicide. I can promise you that.
No, especially when they're on social media and their whole world is revolving around likes and upvotes and you name it on their socials, as Taylor would call it, on social media, on all of your socials.
I'm so hip and young. That kind of goes into we'll go a little bit sideways here. Have you guys watched The Social Dilemma?
Heard about it. Looking forward to it though.
Okay.
I'm still holding out on Netflix. I'm going to be the last person in the world to sign up for Netflix.
Okay, so I'm the last. My wife and I are the last two to join Facebook or any social media. Watching The Social Dilemma on Netflix proves we were right all along. Everyone else was the idiot sheep. Watch it. It's a really, really interesting documentary / drama on social media. And one of the things it highlights is the mental health problems with the young people because of social media and the growth of it since 2010. And so to Chris's point, forcing them to isolate and then giving them social media is going to cause for quite the powder keg with the younger generation. So, all right, moving on. Let's get into presidential debates. Did anyone else see Joe Rogan put out that he was willing to host a presidential debate? Thoughts on Joe Rogan hosting a presidential debate?
Well, why wouldn't he be willing to? I mean, of course he's willing to. That's not the news.
That's not the news. What is the news, Sean?
Well, the news is, will they do it, right? Are they going to accept? And so clearly Trump said, yeah, I'm in. Trump
responded right away, said, yes, I'm in. Rogan wants a long form, 4-hour debate, no audience, no, staged partisan people in the audience. Now, the reasons why Biden will not do this are many. What are some of the reasons that come to mind for you guys?
Well, for me, it's that Rogan's a big UFC guy. So we don't know what this debate's going to turn into. You know, Trump's been in the WWE before. I think Biden's a little nervous. He doesn't want to get his ass beat.
Biden's nervous because he's lost his mind.
Can Biden do anything for 4 hours? He will come out of the basement, do an 8-minute speech, go back to the basement where they hook him up to, tubes of HGH and vitamin B, whatever they do to keep him alive. I think they cryogenically freeze him between speeches. I'm not sure.
But here's the thing. Can you imagine the amount of funny sound clips you would get from Biden in 4 hours?
Can you imagine the viewership on that? Because Joe Rogan has a massive following.
Joe Rogan has 190 million views a month.
It's insane. And so it's one of these things that, like, one of the reasons why maybe it might happen, like, and I haven't looked at the following of people trying to push for this, but, like, I can't imagine many of his viewers not wanting to see this. This would be amazing.
Well, Here,
if Biden's worried about it getting out, if he's worried about that many people seeing the debate, I think he comes on here and him and Trump debate on this show so nobody will see it.
I'm going to go on record with right now. I am willing to host a presidential debate, and I won't even. You can pick the rule.
And it'll be unedited. We promise it'll be unedited because our producer doesn't know how to edit crap. He's terrible at it. So
here's what we'll do then. Chris, get a wig. I'll dye my hair white. You and I can play the roles, and we will have presidential debates following each presidential debates.
Our wives told us we can't role play together anymore, Sean. We made that promise. I think it was the third Mexico trip. We said we would never do it again.
We did
So
agree to that.
hang on. How about this for an idea? Take the Joe Rogan idea, add to it. We're gonna add one little portion of this. Do it pay-per-view. Do a pay-per-view, $50 pay-per-view. All money goes to some amazing foundation.
Oh my God, I would pay for that. I would pay for that. 100%.
No kidding. I would pay $100. I would pay $100 for that.
I'd rather watch that than the Baltimore Ravens or the Chicago Bears or anyone else.
For sure.
Yeah.
But I mean, just think of the amount of money a pay-per-view presidential debate with Joe Rogan moderating would bring in. I mean, it would be off the charts. Billions, trillions, $1 trillion. All right. Math is not the strong suit here. So, all right. So the first actual presidential debate, September 29th at 8 p.m. They say there will be no teleprompters, as there never are, although there was a conspiracy theory that Hillary had one, which was well debunked on the internet. I think you need to have David Copperfield come out first and do his whole look at these cards. There's nothing in these cards, and make sure that there are no teleprompters. What do you think the ratings are going to look like? Forget the pay-per-view idea. What do you think the ratings are going to look like for the first presidential debate? Please, everyone, put in your calendar, September 29th, 8 p.m. Central Time. There are no NBA games, no NFL games. There are some wild card baseball, but otherwise, really, it's just a Tuesday night, September 29th. What do you think the ratings look like?
Highest in history. 100%. It'll be the highest. It'll break any previous presidential debate record.
Sean?
Yeah, I 100% agree.
I mean, are you guys tuning in?
I'm gonna have to go Price is Right then. If we're all like, what was the last viewership or the largest viewership? And let's do. You guys talk while I look this up. We'll go Price is Right rules.
Yeah, we're talking. I don't think it's going to be Super Bowl ratings. It's not going to be on every television and every bar in America because they all went out of business during COVID. But I think it's going to be big. It's going to be. It's going to be huge. Huge.
Over under on viewers, 50 million.
Hold on a second. The record originally before the Hillary Trump debate was 66 million in 1960. 84 million viewers for the first Hillary Clinton Donald Trump debate was the last record.
Oh my gosh. I said 50 million over under. Well, I guess I'd take the over there. All right. So, 100 million. If 84 is the record, 100 million.
Ooh. I'm going to go under, but not by much.
I'm going to go over.
Oh gosh. I'm taking the over.
I'll take the under.
That would represent almost 1/3 of Americans, or I guess people outside of America can watch it. I think it'll be amazing. It's must-see TV for sure. I've already put it in our calendar, our family calendar, September 29th.
So the last Super Bowl drew 102 million viewers, just as a comparison.
Wow. That's awesome.
Which means ads may be worth millions of dollars for a 30 seconds.
No. There are no ads. It's a 90-minute. It's a 90-minute straight debate. There are no ads. So, all right. So, Chris, we'll switch off of the presidential debates. So, Chris, you wanted to talk about Cuties, another Netflix show that is bringing a lot of controversy. So, let's talk about the movie Cuties, which is good fodder and good usage for pedophiles. But so, Chris, you're the expert.
The deeper issue is the sliding scale of how Hollywood's trying to normalize pedophilia, and they're fighting it, going like, no, it's won awards, whatever. Okay, so this writer says the exploitation of young girls is not the first thing you need to worry about. As a family therapist who works with young girls, Cuties is far more damaging than the graphic dance scene. So the movie, first of all, portrays cool girls, aka Cuties, as the desirable group to be a part of. The main character overhears the group of girls watching pornography and discussing the normalization of providing blowjobs and discussing the importance of penis size. Let's keep going.
And next, by the way, these are 11-year-olds.
Yes. Next, the girls watch a video of older girls dancing and then flashing the camera in order to get likes on social media. As older men with facial hair attempt to hit on the girls and ask their age, the girls respond with 14 and tell the new girl that this should always be her response, as if that's better than 11. While video chatting with an older male, the girls keep the camera off while asking him if he would like to touch my tits, quotes, end quotes. It goes on. After teaching herself to grind on the floor and twerk, the main character twerks for 2 very old security guards in order to avoid being arrested. After being caught stealing an older male's phone, maybe a family member, the main character starts to undress in front of him, assuming this will encourage him to give her the phone. He pushes her away and she hides in the restroom.
Why can we stop the transcript and get to the point?
I'm kind of disgusted, so I'd
hold on. She proceeds. No, we're not done. Proceeds to take a picture of her vagina and post it on social media.
Like, now she had clothing on, I'm assuming, like her crotchal area or like her actual.
It doesn't clarify that. All right. How do you guys feel about that?
It's mind blowing. And I do know Ben Shapiro, conservative commentator I love, who's following me to Nashville. He came out and he talked about some of the, I guess you could say, the positives of this movie is almost, you're so cringeworthy that it is exposing how disgusting this is. I'm sorry. I don't know how this gets out on, well, I guess it's a free market, but boy, this is disgusting to me.
I mean, the Babylon Bee came up with Netflix going to air a show about murdering puppies to show how bad murdering puppies is.
I guess
going to start murdering puppies. It's like, no, yeah, this is gross. This is disgusting. I think people on both sides feel the same way.
Yeah, I think it's nasty. I think it's disgusting. I think the original poster for Netflix was disgusting, how they were trying to market the movie. I think this is terrible. I think it's crazy how Hollywood has gotten to where it's gotten.
Well,
and yet
and boycotting Netflix, as I have done forever.
Are you going to boycott Netflix, Chris?
I'm certainly going to little boy caught Netflix and little girl caught Netflix. That was a terrible joke. Move on.
All right. So I wanted to bring up something that was pretty hypocritical that I find shocking that no one is really talking about. And it's the new book that came out about John Elway and the Denver Broncos. I don't know if you guys saw this. And of course, no one's really talking about the book, but everyone is talking about Tim Tebow and how self-centered a guy he was, and how this is from the Daily Mail. This is in their headline: how devout Christian quarterback Tim Tebow destroyed his relationship with the Denver Broncos. And I think that's remarkable that they can write negatively about him, but yet they have never, you see no negative articles coming out now about Colin Kaepernick. And I never understood the Colin Kaepernick versus Tebow and why they weren't treated the exact same way, right? No one had a major issue with Tebow being more or less blackballed, right, from the NFL. And the big argument was he wasn't very good at quarterback, and all he did was bring a media circus. And I was a big Tim Tebow fan. I'm a big Christian. I love that he, would pray before and after games and things like that. So I thought that was awesome. I thought he was a great role model for kids. I didn't think there was anything wrong with what he had done, right? So then they go and they basically, he loses his job and he's kicked out of the NFL more or less, right? And he moves on. And yet, by the way, this guy did take backup roles. In fact, was on the punt team for the New York Jets, willing to do anything a team asked. He said he would do it, and he was a great athlete. But he gets booted from the NFL, more or less, unwritten, right? Colin Kaepernick kneels for the flag after wearing shirts of Fidel Castro and pigs, as police officer socks and things like this. So the theory is that the NFL, blackballed him and he wasn't allowed to play, even though that's not what they said. They said, hey, he wasn't a good enough quarterback. Can it just be seen that Colin Kaepernick wasn't a good enough talent that it was worth the headache? That he was, as they all said, it was, he brought too much of a media circus. Why is it that Tim Tebow and the media are okay slandering Tim Tebow for what he stood up for, but yet Colin Kaepernick is getting Nike ad campaigns, devoted to him for what he stood up for. Am I crazy here?
Sean, you want to go first?
Oh, it's old news. I don't want to talk about Tim Tebow. I don't want to talk about Colin Kaepernick. These guys used to be professional athletes in the NFL. I don't have an interest in reliving that.
Tim Tebow has a moral code, an authority that he bows to, a unwavering stance on his moral values. This is very offensive to moral relativists. This idea that there is absolute truth, he believes he has it, and he doesn't budge on it. That alone is offensive to people. The idea of a Christian is offensive to many people in this country, that there are certain things that are right, there are certain things that are wrong, that there's the existence of good and evil, that not everybody's beliefs are okay. And I think that's what it is. It's a cultural thing.
All right. Well, let's get into some fun stuff. We'll do some sports updates. The big update of today, many of you might have heard, and if you haven't, well, now you will. The Big Ten football is back. The Big Ten is back. They are starting football. It's pretty exciting. I got to give some credit to Nebraska. I hate Nebraska. I've always hated Nebraska. And
Ohio State.
I hate Iowa with a passion. Always have. Hate Iowa and Ohio State. But Nebraska and Iowa I hate. And they were two of the major people pushing this, or bodies of people.
Well, you had Ohio State standing about 10 feet tall and teeny tiny little Iowa and Nebraska like, please let us play too.
It was Nebraska's attorney general, Nebraska's players that sued. And on top of those three schools, credit to President Trump, who pushed, and Clay Travis, who I believe Clay Travis was in the background of all of this, really as a driving force to get the Big Ten back out there. Now, I think it's funny. All of a sudden, you're starting to hear all the Pac-12 players are writing letters. And I just think, oh, boy, you West Coast guys, you just want to be like us Midwesterners, right? So, but the Pac-12 now is talking about finding a way to play. So here's the deal. The Big Ten will start on October 23rd. They'll be able to get an 8-game conference season in by the time the playoff is announced and their Big Ten championship. So, Sean, let me ask you, if you're on the college football playoff committee that sends the 4 teams in, would you hold it against the Big Ten that they did this, that they held out?
I don't know if they've already come out and said this, but the general consensus is that the Big Ten will be in the college football playoff.
I think they're going to weigh it out. Like, okay, if you're an 8-0 team versus a 10-0 team, like the 10-0 is probably going to get the nod there. Now, if you're 8-0 or are you 9-1, ooh, that gets interesting, right? Had I only played the 8 games.
There's going to be 4 teams, and there's going to be 4 clearly the best teams in college football, and Ohio State's going to be one of them, and they're going to make the cut.
I think they've done a pretty good job selecting the teams in the past, too. I actually think they have. So I don't think they'll hold it against them. I agree with Sean.
Okay. So I would like for them to tell the Big Ten to piss off, but
they do that every year almost anyways. They're SEC favorites or favored anyways. So there's already that existing bias to some degree. So
what will be interesting is if a team like Michigan or Wisconsin knocks off Ohio State, and you got 2 7-1 Big Ten teams, and do they pick Ohio State over the other Big Ten team that beat them in a head-to-head because they just want Ohio State and they're so bad? That's what's going to happen.
The conference championship game will probably play a big role in that, I think.
I think it will. I think it will be really interesting when you see, because again, most of these teams now, they're not going to play any of the light part of their schedule to boost up their number of wins. So you're going to see SEC teams beat each other up for sure, and you're going to see Big Ten teams beat each other up.
It's going to be Clemson, 2 SEC teams, 1 Big Ten team. I think it's going to be hard to get 2 Big Ten teams in.
If there's anything we've learned even just from 1 week of the NFL is that home field advantage is not what it can be in a football game when there aren't fans or there's limited fan attendance in the stadium. So I think you'll see a lot of teams upset teams this year.
Big time. But although I do think that fans will be in stadiums over under October 15th, I would take that's like a push. I think right around that is when they're shooting for if the case load goes down.
There will not be a full stadium thown
Not a full stadium though. You're right.
Maybe half capacity.
You're right. Yeah, maybe even less than that.
I mean, you had the first ever down 3-1 in a playoff series twice, and the Nuggets come back to beat the Trailblazers and the Clippers. Clippers are the better team. They got the better players. I mean, nothing to take away from Jokic and Jamal Murray. They're the future studs for the Nuggets. But, I mean, Kawhi Leonard, potentially the best player in the NBA, and Paul George is one of the top 10, and they played horrible. They had no fans, no momentum.
This is what the NBA needs, though. Not that I'm watching it, but they needed parity, and they're starting to get some of it. So it is becoming a little bit more interesting.
What they needed to do was stop playing politics and play basketball.
Oh, that too.
That's what the NBA needs to do. The NFL needs to do it too. I mean, I watched Monday Night Football. I started to. I turned it on, and within minutes, you remember we talked on Monday, CBS had given the directive, do not talk about the political justice stuff going on or the social justice stuff going on from their announcers. Well, ESPN, liberal outlet that it is, did not obviously tell their people, because the second I turned it on, you hear the sideline reporter start talking about the name that was on the back of the person's helmet, what that person did, and all of a sudden then the booth announcer started talking about Kenosha. I turned it off. I was like, this is obnoxious. I mean, I was on for less than a minute, and that's what I heard, so I turned it off. Although I will say I did go and illegally stream the game just so that they wouldn't get any ratings from it. But I did want to see the end of the game to see if Denver was going to be able to come back, which they weren't.
So did you see the Monday Night Football ratings?
No, but I saw ratings on every game except for Brady and Breeze were down. Every single broadcast.
Steelers at Giants was down 21% from the opener week 1 of the 2019 season. Titans Broncos down to 38% from last year's same game.
Wow.
That's staggering.
Well, I'm telling you, I turned it off immediately. And within 1 minute, it immediately turned into, I'm hearing a sympathetic voice about the social justice side of things. And again, I get it. You're open to your own opinion. Go share that on your own personal Twitter feed. I didn't want to see it on the game.
So, Chris, what for the Titans Broncos? What was the opening game comparing that to? That they were 38% down.
Let me see if I can pull that up here.
The second, Sean, it would have been a West Coast game from last year. It would have been like the Chargers or Raiders. It might have been a Raiders game last year.
It doesn't list it in this article. Yeah, and then the Sunday night game was down 16.5%.
So, and you can try to make
Giants, that one means more to me. I mean, I just don't think the Titans Broncos was really much worth watching. I know the Titans are in the AFC Championship last year, but I mean, Broncos, Drew Lock doesn't seem like a really
everybody stuck at home.
Future.
But everybody stuck at home starving for football. 38% is an awful big drop.
It is.
I mean, 40% drop in anything is not good, and we know that from business, right? 40% drop is a really bad sign. 8% drop, 10% drop, you could say, yeah, it's a bad matchup. 40% is bad. But to your point, Sean, New York Giants versus Pittsburgh, that's a pretty big matchup, pretty big markets. So the NFL might want to take a look at what's going on with the NBA ratings.
I see the Steelers news.
Yes, and I thought the Steelers news was awesome. Alejandro Villanueva he took the entire Steelers team, had decided on one name they were going to put on the back of their helmet, and Alejandro Villanueva, a Army Ranger who fought in Afghanistan, guy's awesome, right? He put a fallen veteran on the back. He put a piece of tape over it and put the name of a fallen veteran on the back of his helmet.
An African-American veteran.
What a stud.
Yeah.
I want to go get his jersey. And how about the fact that
his jersey was the #1 jersey a couple years ago for 24 hours on that NFL shop when he stood at the end of the tunnel in Soldier Field.
Yeah. How about recently the top 5 jerseys in the NFL? Number 5 was Nick Bosa. Proud Trump supporter Nick Bosa was the number 5. It was like Russell Wilson, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, and then number 5, Nick Bosa. I thought that spoke volumes because I don't know many other people who are going out and getting a Nick Bosa jersey. All right, so let's move off of sports for a little bit. Let's get into serious or satire. Serious or satire. I got a couple, so I'll start. Couple of serious or satire. How about this? This is a headline. You tell me if it's real or not. Major U.S. city may soon allow 16-year-olds to vote.
Serious. It's got to be in California.
Los Angeles, I'm assuming.
Wow. See, had I told you this like 4 years ago and said that, you'd be like, that's crazy. No. And immediately you guys called it. It is not LA, it's San Francisco. And yes, it is serious. I'm shocked. 16-year-olds might be able to vote. It's just 16-year-olds. Like, for those who don't have kids, my son is 12. He is not 4 years away from having the right to vote for our democracy.
They probably won't even specify 16-year-old Americans. It's just 16 years old. If you're over 16 and you show up the day of the election, we'll let you throw a ballot in there.
And to that I say, no way, Jose.
That was good. Well done. Well done. All right. Who's here I got one. Home Depot cancels Black Friday.
Oh man, serious.
Satire.
It is serious.
Gosh, man. I thought maybe oh gosh.
But it's not for the reasons. There are a lot of places that are going to be kind of canceling Black Friday, but not.
Oh, it's to avoid the crowds.
Yeah, so it's not because the word black is in it, but I thought that would have made it more fun.
If they called it White Friday too, they would be like, we don't want it to be called White Friday either. Like, it's what the
Green. Go with Green Friday. That's where they make all their money. All right, who's got one?
Trump.
Fresh Prince of Bel-Air mansion available on Airbnb.
Serious.
Go rent it. Check it out.
Okay, I got one. So, Trump's making these peace deals in the Middle East, right? So the CNN headline was that CNN criticizes Israel and the Arab leaders for shaking hands in the midst of a pandemic.
Satire.
Serious.
That is satire.
Okay. Thank God. All right. I got one last one. Almost all of America's failed cities are Democrat cities.
What? Is it true or false? Is this rhetorical hour? This is the new rhetorical question segment,
No, I know. I didn't really, it wasn't really serious or satire.
You're like, what?
I just wanted to make sure everyone knew that was an article, and it is 100% serious.
I thought they were trying to become autonomous zones and not American cities.
Yeah, right. They're their own countries.
They control a budget like I control my weight.
or your budget.
Or my budget. Get shit. Or my offspring.
Broke like Chicago.
All right. So let's get to our top five, guys. All right. So this week, in honor of the Big Ten being back, we got Big Ten football, some amazing rivalries within the Big Ten. We are going to do the top 5 rivalries of all time. Top 5 rivalries of all time. So we'll do a snake draft, and we will start from my right to left. Chris, you're going to go first. You're number 5.
Sticking with my fat theme, McDonald's versus Burger King. What do you guys fall on that one?
Oh, love it.
McDonald's wins unless you just have to have onion rings, and then you go to Burger King.
Whopper is one of the greatest fast food burgers ever created. Sorry.
I think McDonald's puts cocaine in their Coca-Cola. I love it. They have the best mix of Diet Coke on earth. So McDonald's.
Yeah, that's what I go to McDonald's for, is the Diet Coke.
All right. My number 5, Army Navy. Army Navy. That is, as much as it's not really a football game that's that spectacular or special, it is so regal to watch when you see them midshipmen and everyone all in their coats and stuff. The Army.
That's true. That is true.
It's pretty darn cool. The President's Trophy. So Army Navy.
Sean. A lot. Number 5, East versus West. Biggie and Pac, all of that.
Oh, I just thought you meant in general.
Wait. You're going as broad as just anything from the East to anything from the West?
East versus West, hip hop, obviously.
I hate you so
All right.
Okay, so if you're gonna stick with hip hop, I can get around that. Biggie, Tupac, that is a good rivalry.
Very good. Yeah.
It's a great rivalry. Great rivalry. My number 4, Mayweather McGregor.
Oh, that's good.
In our lives. That was a good rivalry.
I don't know if it's a rivalry. It was a good fight.
Good bout, a good one-time thing. Like my wife,
We
like,
need it to become a rivalry. We need it every year. We need that fight back.
like me hugging my son. It's a sweet one-time thing, but I don't know that you call it a recurring rivalry. You know?
All right, my number 4, Brady versus Manning.
Ooh, I thought about that, putting that on my list. That's a good one.
Yeah. Okay.
So who's better?
Brady.
Yeah, he's the GOAT. That's it.
I still think Manning is a better quarterback. If you built a quarterback in a machine, you would create Peyton Manning.
Okay, I don't want to play Brady for the long run, but if it's fourth quarter and I'm up 27 points, I'm more afraid of Peyton Manning and then second Aaron Rodgers. Those guys are comeback machines. Like, they're the most terrifying.
Agreed.
Anything can happen.
I agree with that.
Brady, you should talk to the Falcons about Brady in the comeback.
Yeah.
That's true. Okay, am I up?
Yep.
You're up.
You're on 4.
iPhone versus Android.
Oh man, that was a good one.
Good one. Android.
Android.
Android. iPhone is just for people who don't know how to use computers.
So wait. Now that we've all just announced we're Android people, does that mean that no one's gonna continue to listen?
They're too dumb to delete the app. They don't even know how to do that. So, they're stuck with it. If iPhone doesn't do it for them, they'll keep listening.
All right, Chris, you're number 3.
This guy's had many rivals. First of all, it was just people in general, and he slaughtered many of them. Then he fought the devil himself and won. But the ultimate rivalry was Arnold Schwarzenegger versus himself in the 6th day. It was the only rival worthy of him was him. And he won.
Really? Arnold
Yes.
versus Arnold?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well done there. Well done. All right. So I'm on my number 3.
You are.
Number 3. Man. Oh, I got to give this. This is my last podcast coming from, well, I guess I'll probably do some more in Chicagoland, but I'm some love for Chicago. As much as I'm sad to see you go. Sox, Cubs. Love the rivalry.
Bears, Packers, Sox, Cubs.
Yeah, I love the debate with people. Who cares about the Packers? I can't stand talking to Packers fans, specifically Sean. And so, but Sox, Cubs, like I love arguing Sox, Cubs with Cubs fans. Maybe it's just summertime. I don't know. Sox, Cubs, number 3.
Taylor, having to actually winning a couple of games with that team when you're trying to back the Bears against the Packers is pretty tough to do. So my number 3 is you can pick a few different people to put in this one. I've got Greg Popovich. You could go Bill Belichick or maybe Marshawn Lynch, but I want Greg Popovich versus reporters. It's a great rivalry.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Number
We're on
2.
2, right?
Yep.
Number 2, Democrat versus Republican.
Ooh, elephant versus ass. Yeah, I mean that one's pretty easy. How did it just hear me out? How did this happen to the Democrats? I love that it did. Not only are they considered left when Republicans are right, meaning they're correct, but they're also Democrats are an ass instead of a like life stomping, tree running over elephant. How did they get stuck with those two? They must have drawn the short stick because they didn't get the good side of either of those.
Both Democrats and Asian men drew the short stick. Nobody knows why.
See, the Democrats would say the ass is a symbol of the working man, and the elephant is just a big fat Dumbo. So,
I guess. All right, my number two. Gosh, I got a lot listed. I'm gonna go number 2. Coke, Pepsi.
Oh, I almost
Coke.
chose that.
Coke.
Diet Coke, but yeah, I think Pepsi's disgusting.
Yeah, I guess I'm a Coke guy. Coke Zero, probably. All right.
Chris, 2.
This next one, you could probably guess if I give you one word, but I say it in such a way that you'll remember. Freedom!
All right. So is it Scots versus the English?
Yes.
The British?
Scots versus the English.
All right.
Braveheart, William Wallace.
And by the way, that just a spoiler alert, when we do top 5 movies, that is my number one. Has been, always will be.
Always number one.
Now your volume I think you just ripped
Wait,
your
do
microphone.
I have to do number one now? Am I up?
Yes.
You're
number
up.
one.
Okay. This is worldwide. Everybody has a dog in this fight. Okay.
Oh, dog and cat. Dog versus cat. And I choose dog.
No, it is not that. But that's a good pun. Shirts versus skins.
Ooh. I didn't know those were rivals. So Chris, can you take your shirt off just for all the people who are missing that from the last episode?
Skins, I win every
Yeah.
time.
Well, shirts won last time.
All right. So my number one, this is it's a new rivalry, and it's one that we talk about all the time.
AIDS versus Corona.
The common cold versus COVID. So, Kamala Harris versus Trump. Wait, sorry. Joe Biden versus
Jabba the
Donald
Hutt.
Trump.
Who will win in a debate?
So Biden versus Trump. And I don't know if you guys noticed my Freudian slip, sort of like both Biden and Kamala Harris accidentally said the Harris ticket. So Joe Biden versus Donald Trump is my number one rivalry.
Okay. All right. Yeah. No comment. We've already commented on it.
And my number one rivalry, probably the most important rivalry of all time, is the Mighty Ducks versus Iceland in Mighty Ducks 2. It was just an incredible movie. Go back and watch it tonight.
Mighty Ducks 2. That's in the top 10 for Chris's movies of all time, right behind Freddy versus Jason 7.
Hellboy
Look,
2.
we're talking top five sequels. Yeah, it's in there, but I mean, Mighty Ducks 1 is still really good. But it goes Empire Strikes Back, Mighty Ducks 2. Isn't it like Mighty Ducks 2?
Yeah, but in Mighty Ducks 1
Quacker.
for the Hawks, and it's just another hockey team. But Iceland was an international rivalry. And I mean, it was like beating up the USSR or something in the 1980 Miracle game. It was way more important to win.
How about
All right.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2? That was a pretty.
Oh, TMNT. How about that? All right. On that note, we will end our September 16th show. Please subscribe to this on podcast. Share it with a friend or two or 1,000 on your socials. Right, Chris? And have an awesome day and follow me to Nashville. Goodbye.
Exit music.